Friday Night Stars, presented by WHATABURGER, is brought to you by Geico, 85 years of savings and service. Texas Lottery, play the Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket today. It's your ticket for a chance to win big. And by WHATABURGER. Stop on by WHATABURGER and try the patty melt today. It's an all-time favorite for a reason.
Oh, what a wonderful time of year it is in Texas. It is playoff time in Texas. And this is Friday Night Stars. Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans as we begin the 6-week countdown to Christmas. That's what the Texas high school football playoffs are as we start now. And for the next 6 weeks, we've got playoff action for you, and it leads right up to Christmas week.
Isn't it wonderful, the fact that you get an entire another season of high school football? We've had 11 weeks of the drama, of the pageantry, of the fun of high school football with stadiums and fans packing the crowds throughout the state of Texas, and now you get to ramp it up a little bit. This is an awesome time, and it's a lot of fun to break down at the same time.
And so will be breaking it down over the course of the next half hour here on Friday Night Stars. And how about we kick things off with our WHATABURGER Game of the Week? And how about this matchup, as the Louisville Fightin' Farmers will be hosting the McKinney-Boyd Broncos. This is a great matchup. In fact, before the show, Kyle told me this is one of his favorite first-round matchups of the year. How did this come about? Let's take you back to last Friday night as Louisville played Hebron, and on the very last play of the game, the Fighting Farmers do this. A Hail Mary, Ethan Terrell to Kai Stone as Louisville beat Hebron, and by doing that, Louisville is able to play against McKinney-Boyd in the first round of the playoffs. Hebron must face against perennial power Allen instead.
And look at the awareness of going back to the football, knowing you have to catch the ball first before you have to run upfield and actually find the end zone. They were down by 5 points at this moment, or I guess it was 4 points, so you couldn't score, you couldn't kick a field goal is basically what I'm saying. He didn't take a knee. He knew he had to find pay dirt and able to score there. But this is a fantastic matchup between McKinney-Boyd and Louisville. It's actually a rematch between a bi-district matchup from last year, one of which that Louisville won. They come in with the better record. The Fighting Farmers, who won this matchup last year, had the Hail Mary last week, and they also have a guy named Damian Martinez, Oregon State commit, I should say. 293 total yards, 5 touchdowns versus McKinney-Boyd last year in this ball game. I expect them to see much of the same against McKinney-Boyd, even though they've been playing really well on the Broncos side.
And what a good job Joe McBride, the former Coppell coach, has done at McKinney-Boyd. They did make the playoffs, as Kyle said, last year, losing to Louisville in bi-district, but they went 4-7 last year, 8-2 record this year, and this is like a homecoming for Joe McBride, who grew up in Louisville and now playing Louisville for the second straight year, trying to knock them off.
Yeah, and they have a really strong football team as well. They're only 2 losses this year, to Denton Geyer and to Allen, and they've been in some tight games throughout the year. I expect this to be a tight game. Well, they're 4-0 in one-score games this season. 250 yards is all they needed against Prosper to put up 35 points, and they held Prosper to just 73 passing yards. If that defense can play much of the same and slow down a guy like Damian Martinez, Boyd's going to have a shot to win it.
All right, how about that other game we were alluding to, as the Hebron Hawks now must go play at the Allen Eagles. Some holes in the armor for Allen, who lost a couple of weeks ago to Prosper, 8-2 on the season under first-year head coach Chad Morris. Of course, the former Arkansas and SMU head coach who has won state championships here in the state of Texas. This is an interesting matchup.
Yeah, this is the first taste for Chad Morris and those championship expectations that Allen always has. They got the offense back in gear following that loss to Prosper a couple weeks ago. 53 points versus a very run-heavy Braswell team I thought was really impressive. Lots of experts around the area are tabbing this Allen Eagles squad as a team to watch. I'm one of them. I think this team is for real. I think they're going to make another deep playoff run with the road that's in front of them. I think they have an opportunity to utilize their ground game, and to do so against Hebron, they're going to have to control the time of possession, because Hebron can throw the football. We saw them lose on that Hail Mary to Louisville last week. They can throw it around a little bit. Dakota Bridges, a wide receiver, 1,200 receiving yards, 13 total touchdowns. And then their quarterback, Jacob Bunniff, 311 yards last week against a very good Fighting Farmers defense from Louisville High School. Outside of the games where Allen has looked really, really good throughout the year, the two losses they've had against Itascasita and against Prosper, those two teams beat the Allen Eagles via the passing game. I expect to see the same thing from Hebron. And
Hebron, as always has, Brian Brazel always has a tough, hard-working, hard-nosed football team. They will give Allen all that they want this week. All right, and the third game we want to feature as our games of the week, the highest-ranked Class 6A team in Dallas-Fort Worth, the unbeaten South Lake Carroll Dragons, hosting North Crowley this week. And North Crowley at 7-3 on the season, 5-2 in district play this year.
Yeah, I'll start with North Crowley. They won 3 of their last 4 games, really playing good football as of late. You see Quentin Jackson on the screen there. I mean, this is a team that lost to Weatherford, Trinity, DeSoto. That Weatherford game by 1, by the way. It was a very tight game with the Kangaroos in that one. But they held off a late charge last week from Haltom to really give them some momentum heading into the playoff season. Quentin Jackson, 1,500 passing yards, 17 touchdowns, 800 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns on the ground. He's a dual threat by the definition of the term. But as for as for South Lake Carroll, 10-0, I dare you to find a better resume heading into the playoffs than what the Carroll Dragons have in store. 10-0 wins over Rockwall Heath, Highland Park, Arlington Martin, Prosper, and then they've got 2 guys running that offense. Caden Anderson over 2,000 passing yards, Owen Allen over 1,400 rushing yards, and he's had the century mark in 8 games this season. I like the way that Carroll can beat you in a bunch of different ways.
And the only games he didn't have the century mark, he didn't play in those games because he had a sprained ankle, but he is healthy now. And the story of the year, of course, for South Lake Carroll, Quinn Ewers opting out and moving on to Ohio State. And Caden Anderson, their quarterback, the junior, has done a very nice job in place of Quinn Ewers. All right, some other notable playoff games around the area here in the first round. Class 5A Division I, Denton Ryan, W.T. White, 5A Division II, Aledo, and Dallas Hillcrest. In 4A1, Argyle and Wilmer Hutchins. What catches your eye here?
Well, I think the first game catches my eye because it was another great season for W.T. White. They were a playoff team last year, met up with Lone Star in the opening round. They don't get a better draw this year with Denton Ryan. Denton Ryan, of course, beating Lone Star last week 7-6 in a tightly contested ball game. I'm sure we're going to mention throughout the show, but W.T. White played Lancaster really, really well late down the stretch of the regular season, and then Aledo. I'm interested to see how that Bearcat team responds when they get into better competition as the playoff schedule goes along. They really haven't been challenged since week 2 against Lone Star. That was a 45-35 game at Toyota Stadium that they very easily could have lost. Are the Aledo Bearcats as explosive as they've been in the past? They have some good talent on that ball club, but can they put it together like they have in recent years?
And you look at the playoff bracket for Aledo, and they win this week. They get the winner of the Forney-Frisco Liberty game, and then you got Frisco down the road, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of different aspects, and that's the thing. All of those teams play different styles of football. You've got a physical team in Frisco. You've got the passing attack. You've got so many different ways that teams can beat you. You're going to have to adjust in the playoff schedule.
And by the way, Argyle playing Wilmer Hutchins. They win that game. They get the winner of the Kennedale-Brownwood game next week, which should be a very tasty matchup. All right, we're just getting started on this edition of Friday Night Stars. When we come back, it's the Showdowns at the Star.
This segment was brought to you by WHATABURGER. Order online using the app or at WHATABURGER.com for curbside pickup from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. or delivery. This segment is brought to you by Texas Lottery. Play the Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket today. It's your ticket for a chance to win big.
Friday Night Stars continues with our Showdowns at the Star. As usual, a double dip this week. We'll start with the Friday game here as Frisco, the Raccoons, take on Royce City, Class 5A Division II playoff matchup. Winner of that one will play the winner of South Oak Cliff and Everman next week. And how about tonight's Showdown at the Star? Lone Star against Bryan Adams, Kyle.
Yeah, second straight week for Lone Star playing at the Ford Center. Last week, it was a tough matchup. How about Denton Ryan for the final week of the regular season. Winner takes district. Well, Lone Star couldn't find the end zone but just one time, and they missed an extra point, which ultimately resulted in a 7-6 loss. But this is a Lone Star team that's very focused on taking the lessons learned against the Denton Ryan team last week and applying that to their playoff run this week.
Different this year because of our physical presence up front with our offensive line and Ashton Genty running the football.
When this offense is clicking, I feel like nobody in the state can stop us when we get going.
In recent years, Lone Star football has built their success on defense and a high-flying passing attack. This year, they can beat you in a number of different ways.
We got great receivers, a great O-line. Gary, he's a great quarterback, and obviously me, I'm a pretty good running back. Pretty good is an understatement. Ashton Genty finished the regular season 7th in the country with 39 total touchdowns.
Well, he's special, and anytime he touches the football, great things are going to happen. So we're going to continue to feed Genty the ball and let him do his thing.
He finished with over 100 yards rushing in every game this season, including the season finale loss to Denton Ryan, a game the Rangers want to learn from in order to reach their ultimate goal.
I think that will serve us well. I think it gave us the opportunity to play in a big-time atmosphere against one of the best teams in the state. Came up a little bit short, but it'll serve us well moving into the playoffs. It's gold ball season because every game is for a gold ball trophy and the opportunity to keep this team and this family together.
For sure, we can win it all. I think we're one of the best teams in the state, and if we go out and play good every game, you know what I'm saying, we play our best every game, there's nobody that can beat us. Coach Jeff Rayburn and company have been on just the lip of the cup a couple different times. They've made deep playoff runs, but just have not been able to win it all. And this year, you heard it there. I mean, the offensive line, the firepower between Ashton Genty, Garrett Rangel, Oklahoma State commit at the quarterback position. They have a lot of weapons, and they have a good idea of what they can do when they play well. They don't think they played well against Denton Ryan last week. They feel like if they can turn that around, they may have a chance to win it all.
That shows how close they are. Denton Ryan, of course, ranked #1 in the state in that division. You know, Lone Star, that Ashton Genty, he just really intrigues me. 29 rushing touchdowns, 10 receiving touchdowns. He's a commit to Boise State, and I just love that kid.
Yeah, and he was late to the recruiting process because of his late arrival at Lone Star. Plus, when he arrived as a sophomore, he was a wide receiver, did not play any tailback, which is really his true position, as you can see, with 39 total touchdowns here in 2021. But the fact that he was so late into that really allowed Boise State to jump on his recruiting process and thus get the commitment. But I think if he were to be reevaluated by some of these other Power 5 programs, he'd be right up there with some of the best recruits.
That bracket is very interesting. Lone Star could be facing Lancaster and Highland Park on their playoff road. All right, we continue on Friday Night Stars in just a moment. How about we take a trip to Cedar Hill? It's been a rather big week for that program.
This segment was brought to you by Texas Lottery. Play the Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket today. It's your ticket for a chance to win big. This segment is brought to you by WHATABURGER. Stop on by WHATABURGER and try the patty melt today. It's an all-time favorite for a reason.
Man, I've been waiting all my life to do that.
What a moment for the pride of Crowley, Texas. Joey McGuire ready to bring new life to the Texas Tech Red Raider program, just like he did winning 3 state titles at Cedar Hill and as an assistant at Baylor the last 5 years. Of course, Joey McGuire this week named the new head football coach at Texas Tech. You know, one of the many traditions of Texas high school football is senior night at schools all across the state of Texas. These special ceremonies honor seniors before their final home game of the regular season, and there was an extra special moment at Cedar Hills senior night last week. Cedar Hills head coach Carlos Lynn, his wife Antoinette, and their son Caleb participated in the pregame ceremony. Caleb, a 2-time cancer survivor. Caleb battled cancer when he was 8 years old and again 4 years ago. It's a challenge that the Lyns have faced as a family, which made participating in senior night even more memorable.
My son has been through so much in his life. We've been through a lot of bad times. We've been through a lot of sad times. We've been through a lot of just emotionally low times. It was just good to see him in a frame of mind of where he's having fun. He's with his friends, and it's nothing that's sad. You know, it's something to be celebrated.
What have you learned about your team this season as you head into your playoff game against Bryan?
Still maturing, but I feel like we're taking steps in the right direction. I think, you know, if we just play at Longhorn speed, it's a mentality, it's an effort. It's a hard hat mentality. It's a toughness. And if we just play with that effort and that tenacity, I think we'll be in great shape.
Carrying on the tradition of Joey McGuire there in Cedar Hill. And by the way, 3 of those Cedar Hill players committed to Texas Tech the night before he was announced as the head coach at his press conference. All right, the notable playoff games, as we mentioned there, Cedar Hill is playing Bryan in the first round. That's Class 6A Division II. Tyler Legacy, Garland, another big matchup in the first round. South Grand Prairie and Lake Highlands. Which of these matchups you like?
Well, I like the first 2. I'll start with Cedar Hill. You see 6 and 4 next to Cedar Hill. You don't normally see that with that program. They win a lot of football games, but if you look at the 4 losses, Rockwall, Duncanville, Allen, DeSoto, they've lost the big games, but they haven't necessarily lost them in big fashion. That's a really good football team, and I think they're going to be a dark horse to make a run throughout the playoffs. And then Tyler Legacy has had a great legacy with Coach Willis and company out in East Texas, but Garland, what a season to remember for them. 10-0 and big wins over teams like Prestonwood, and you've also got Weatherford in there as well. I mean, Garland is a really good football team, and they can run the football and throw it as well. They do a lot of things well, so that's going to be a good football game.
And we'll have more on their quarterback coming up shortly when we start talking about the Landry Award. By the way, the Bryan Cedar Hill winner plays the winner of the Tyler Legacy Garland game in the next round of the playoffs. And that South Grand Prairie team, sort of a down year for South Grand Prairie, but they're at 7-3. They went 4-2 in their district. They're playing at a Lake Highlands team 9-1 on the season, so that's an interesting first round matchup. Up next, it's our power programs headed to the playoffs. It is power program time here on Friday Night Stars, the power playoff programs. Kyle Youmans, these are your 3 this week.
Yep, and they're all 3 in the playoffs. They also all 3 had big upsets late in the year. How about the Liberty Redhawks? We haven't even mentioned them yet. They defeated Lovejoy on national television, 27-24 on the final play of the ball game. Come from behind fashion. Really fun game there. Prosper, their big win over Allen a couple weeks ago, got them into the playoffs and 4th out of that really tough district. And then the Forney Jackrabbits, I don't know if it could be considered an upset since they were 9-1 as well, but they were down 20-7 at the point to an 8-1 Royce City squad at halftime. They came back and beat Royce City by multiple scores. So how about the Jackrabbits? They've got a pretty good test on their docket this week, but I have them as one of my power programs.
Okay, and I took the easy route this week. I just went to the state rankings. I figure we need to give you the perspective on who are the top-ranked teams in the state in each of the top classifications in Texas. South Lake Carroll is ranked number 3 in the state coming into the playoffs with their 10-0 record. Denton Ryan is ranked number 1 in the state in Class 5A Division I, and the Aledo Bearcats are ranked number 1 in the state in Class 5A Division II. You know, I think we could probably go back over the course of the last 20 years and on Friday Night Stars, if we had it 20 years ago, we could say these teams are the top-ranked teams of the area.
The 1996 edition of Friday Night Stars, and Denton Ryan's up there, Aledo's up there.
Ryan, you know, when Joey Florence took over, that was a program that was like 1-9, and it was about 20 years ago that and they've kept winning ever since. And Dave Hennigan doing a great job there, and Tim Buchanan, he leaves and he comes back and he's still got the great program at Aledo.
And you said it was the easy route, but it's good. It's a good reset for everybody who's watching that says, hey, these are the teams to beat. These are the teams you have to make sure and keep an eye on, because no doubt about it, they're going to make a run. And if they don't, then you got to note that as well.
Hey, now it's time for your participation. Coming up, the Landry Award watch list, and now is the time for you to vote on the Landry Award. We explain when we come back on Friday Night Stars.
Friday Night Stars, presented by WHATABURGER, was brought to you by Geico, 85 years of savings and service. Texas Lottery, play the Dallas Cowboys scratch ticket today. It's your ticket for a chance to win big. And by WHATABURGER, Order online using the app or at WHATABURGER.com for curbside pickup from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. or delivery.
Got to get your nominations in for the Landry Award this weekend. Go to LandryAward.com. This is our watch list for this week. We're taking a look at the top area quarterbacks with 2,900 yards passing or more in the regular season.
Yeah, and look at the top of that list. Sergio Perez, Garland High, 10-0. They didn't beat Weatherford. I said that earlier. That's not the case, but they've beaten everybody else that they've played, and it's thanks to a lot of his big-time play, over 50 touchdowns this year. All the way at the bottom of the list, Keldrick Luster had 300 passing yards, 100 rushing yards against Lovejoy in that big-time upset on ESPN. He's one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks statistically in the country, and that's not really even close, Bill. He does it both ways. And then Braden Locke's been doing it since he was an underclassman at Rockwall, was the newcomer of the year as a sophomore, district MVP as a junior, and, well, the senior Braden Locke is just as good moving forward.
Yeah, what a career achievement award for Braden Locke if he's able to get the Landry Award. And Sergio Perez has led Garland to that 10-0 unbeaten regular season with 52 touchdown passes on the season. Again, nominations are open this weekend. A week from now, we'll have the 5 finalists, and the Landry Award will be awarded in less than a month. That does it for Friday Night Stars. For Kyle Youmans, I'm Bill Jones. Enjoy your playoff weekend.